I'm wondering, would you have any pieces of advice for founders who are considering channel partnerships to grow their business, and what tips you might have for those founders from your current experience?
Um, to be honest, we've failed at a lot of partnership proposals we have, tried before, right? So in in our mind, what we learned is that if it is not inbound, if you are, I would say, pre-Series A, uh, proactively going out and starting sort of a channel partnership proposal, etc., rarely ever works, right? You're just too small for the partner, right? So they're looking to get their match rather than help out a smaller startup, right? So I would recommend most startups to not look at channel partnerships early on until they reach a certain scale.
What would that scale be? What would be some of the characteristics that you'd be looking for, and you'd say, okay, at this point, it makes sense to start looking at channel partnerships?
I mean, it's hard to say I'd say Series A, a legitimate Series A, not the 2021 Series A, uh, right? Uh, is a good indicator of product market fit, right? That where your direct go to market channels are working, you've cracked the puzzle. Uh, that would be a good point to start exploring channel partnerships, right? It's hard to put a revenue number because it differs for different startups and different industries. But I'd say a legitimate Series A, when you're ready, when you feel you're ready for that, that's a good time to explore or at least give it a shot.
Who should be in charge of establishing those partnerships? Should that be somebody in business development, people who are already doing sales, or should that be founder led?
I think founder led early on, these are very different skill sets. People in BD have a completely different gene pool. They're hunters, they want to close, um, and if you don't have that as your sales team, then you're doing something wrong to begin with. Uh, but the partnership person has a very different uh, mindset, right? They are looking very long term. They are trying to find synergies. It's more value based uh, kind of process, right? It's long term, and a lot of processes have to be set in place. So you have to, before you sign a partnership, you have to think of 10 things which are going to come as you get that partner on board, right? So making it super easy for the partner to onboard with you is very critical, right? And it's probably the founder who can actually think of all the steps that would be needed. So, for example, uh, uh, Japan, the partnership we're going to announce soon, we we already knew that the moment this starts to take shape, we would have to make sure our wall is bilingual, right? Uh, the Fewcents account of the user, when the user actually starts to make a payment, etc., all of that has to be in Japanese as well, right? The management dashboard of the publishers that this partner is going to onboard, that has to be in Japanese as well, right? The sales kit, the training materials, uh, their analytics dashboard, everything, right? So you got to think of how you're going to roll it out and phased approach, and plan that really well with every partnership. So early on, I'd say it's probably the founders who are the best, and they understand the motions that it takes to get a partner onboarded, and also understand what implication does that have on your own team. Do you need to scale up your own support team? Who is going to do the onboarding of the clients coming in through that partner, right? So all of that, all of those processes need to be buttoned up even before the contract is signed, right? So otherwise, even the partner knows it's not going to go anywhere, right? So I think early on, founder, but then after that, get a serious partnerships person who's done it 10 times before.